Sometimes the device arrives that feels like a deliberate step back, nostalgic embrace of the past while still leveraging modern technology. That brings us to the Retroid Pocket Classic. Its name alone signals the intent, a return to a beloved form factor. For me, that past began with an atomic purple Game Boy Color, clutched in my hands during long car rides or on lazy weekend mornings. It was my first portal into handheld gaming, a world that felt focused and quietly magical. That simple screen, those clacky buttons, they didn't just entertain, they helped shape a lifelong love for portable gaming. Retroid calls it the classic, but beyond its nostalgic shape, what does this name truly signify here? Have they managed to recapture that focused magic of classic handhelds, blending it with the power and versatility of today's technology in a way that truly feels successful? That's the question that I wanted to answer. Is the Retroid Pocket Classic worth your attention and your money? Let's find out. This unit here was shipped over as a review unit from Retroid directly. As with all my reviews, the company has absolutely no input in what I say. They're not seeing this review beforehand, and of course, I'm going to give you guys my honest thoughts to what I think about it. So let's hop in. The Retroid Pocket Classic enters the market at a very attractive price point, slotting nicely into the premium budget category. The base model with 4GB of RAM and 64GB of storage is $119 US, and the step up to 6GB of RAM with 128GB of storage is only $129. Retroid seems to be keeping stock moving with consistent shipping. Don't forget accessories though. A screen protector is always a smart purchase for $5, and a case is never a bad idea either, which is only $10. For my setup, a screen protector is usually enough since I carry it in my TomTalk Sling. The Classic is powered by a Snapdragon G1 Gen 2 chipset, paired with either 4 or 6GB of LPDDR4X memory, and 64 or 128GB of eMMC 5.1 storage. You can expand the storage, however, with a microSD card. The screen is a 3.92-inch AMOLED panel with a resolution of 1240 by 1080 at 60 Hz. Powering it all is a 5000 mAh battery, and it runs Android 14. A decidedly modern set of specs, particularly that AMOLED screen tucked into a nice classic design. Picking up the Classic, the immediate impression is its form factor. It's a clear nostalgia to the vertical handhelds of the past, particularly the Game Boy line. Its build quality feels solid for its price point. The plastic has a pleasant, slightly textured feel. It feels really good in your hands for a device of this size. Honestly, even comparing this to something premium like the Analog Pocket, the Retroid Pocket Classic feels better in some ways. I really like that textured plastic over the smooth plastic on the Analog Pocket. While its size is good overall, I do wish it was slightly taller on the bottom to give you some extra space to grip onto. The volume and power buttons do look quite nice, especially in the color options like the atomic purple. A nice thoughtful touch is the headphone jack, conveniently located on the top. Unlike the Flip 2, the Classic truly embraces pocketability. Its vertical design and relatively slim profile make it genuinely easy to slip in your pocket and carry around discreetly. This is a device that you can truly take almost anywhere. The controls are a key aspect here. The slightly clicky dome switch D-pad feels responsive, with good pivot and minimal accidental diagonals suitable for retro titles. The rubber membrane face buttons, whether you opt for the standard ABXY or the intriguing 6-button Saturn-style layout, have a satisfying click and feel authentic for classic gaming. However, the placement of the start, select, and menu buttons feels a little bit unconventional, placed just below the screen and off to one side, but you kind of adjust to it over time. The shoulder buttons and triggers are placed along the back edge, just above the battery, when held vertically. The triggers are not analog on this model, which is expected for the price point and the target era of games. Their placement feels natural for the index fingers in this form factor. they sound ever so slightly clicky. One small ergonomic critique here is that the triggers could benefit from more rounded corners. As they kind of feel a little sharp against your pointer fingers over extended play. Setting up the Classic is standard Android, Google account, Wi-Fi. It comes with Retroid's launcher, which is functional for jumping around in emulators. You have, of course, the flexibility to customize your experience with third-party launchers and emulators, which is, again, what I recommend for the optimal experience. Navigating Android 14 is generally pretty smooth on the Snapdragon G1 Gen 2. The OS feels very responsive. Adapting some apps and emulators to the screen's unique 10:9 aspect ratio might require some minor tweaks, but for its intended purpose of classic emulation, it's well suited. Connectivity includes Wi-Fi 5 and Bluetooth 5.1. Wi-Fi speeds were pretty adequate for downloading updates and apps, though it's not as blazingly fast as the Flip 2's Wi-Fi 6. Storage performance from the internal eMMC is decent, and the microSD card slot provides essential expansion for your game library. The star of the show, though, without question, is this beautiful 3.92-inch AMOLED display. For a device at this price, it's truly exceptional. This is quite frankly a beautiful panel. It looks better than the screen of my analog Pocket. Colors are incredibly rich, blacks are deep and inky. The contrast is stunning. Classic pixel art looks incredible on this panel. The aspect ratio is also a fantastic choice for many retro systems, allowing for excellent integer scaling, particularly for Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles, which nearly fills out the screen perfectly. I've actually left integer scaling on for all my retro systems. As weird as it sounds, I kinda like the black bar around the edge, it just adds that nostalgia. With 500 nits of brightness, the screen is plenty bright for indoor use and reasonably visible outdoors, though direct sunlight remains challenging for nearly any screen, minus maybe the Portal. Minimum brightness is comfortable for nighttime gaming. I didn't observe any noticeable uniformity issues or dead pixels on my unit. Thanks to the AMOLED panel, ghosting is nearly next to non-existent. The 60Hz refresh rate feels smooth for the content you'll be playing. The single front-facing speaker is surprisingly capable. It gets reasonably loud without any significant distortion, and the audio is clear enough for retro game sound effects and music. Performance is where the Snapdragon G1 Gen 2 proves its worth. For a device focused on classic emulation, it comfortably handles systems through the 32-bit era, NES, SNES, Game Boy systems, PS1, N64, and Dreamcast all run exceptionally well, often with headroom for enhancements. Lighter PSP titles and DS titles are also within its grasp. For its target of non-joystick-centered systems, it's a very capable SoC. The Classic employs active cooling. During extended play sessions with demanding emulation, the device remained relatively cool to the touch, particularly on the front where your hands rest. For every system that I've played on it so far, I've been able to keep the fan off without any issues whatsoever. It's good to know it's there if it's needed though. Battery life with this 5000 mAh cell is a strong point for the Classic, especially given its power-efficient chipset and AMOLED screen. For less demanding 8-bit and 16-bit emulation, you can expect many hours of gameplay, easily exceeding the 8 to 10 hour mark. More demanding systems will naturally drain it faster, but even then, you're looking at a few solid hours. The quick resume and sleep functions are excellent for picking up and playing instantly. Charging is handled via USB-C and it supports decent charging speeds. After spending some time with this vertical handheld gem, considering its strengths and its target, is it worth it? It's a vertical handheld that knows exactly what it wants to be. It's a love letter to classic vertical handhelds, elevated by a truly stunning AMOLED display and a capable modern chipset. The form factor is genuinely portable and comfortable for its intended use. The overall build quality, from its textured back to its feel in its hands, is surprisingly premium for the price. even holding its own against much more expensive devices. The controls feel pretty good, and the option for the 6-button layout is a nice touch for specific genres. Of course, it's not perfect. The awkward placement of the start and select buttons below the screen is a small adjustment. Wi-Fi 5 isn't the fastest, and the trigger edges could be slightly more rounded, making it more ergonomic. I also wish the bottom was slightly taller to give you more to grip onto. This is where devices like the Analog Pocket come out ahead. Ergonomics. These feel like really minor compromises given its price and the overall package, especially that incredible screen. So who is this for? This is for the retro enthusiast who adores the vertical handheld form factor. It's for someone who prioritizes screen quality for pixel-perfect retro gaming on the go, and the screen delivers. It's for someone who primarily plays systems up to the Dreamcast and lighter PSP era, and wants a dedicated, highly portable device for that purpose. At $119 or $129, it offers incredible value for that specific user. So is it worth it? If that vertical form factor and that gorgeous AMOLED screen resonate with you, absolutely. It delivers a focused, high-quality classic emulation experience in a delightfully portable package. It's not trying to be a do-it-all powerhouse, and that's its strength. It's a well-executed, affordable option with a nicer, larger panel than the TrimUI Brick or the Analog Pocket. This is easily my favorite vertical emulation device in many ways. The Retroid Pocket Classic isn't a revolutionary device in terms of raw power, but it's a beautifully executed one in terms of concept and design. If you've been waiting for a great vertical Android handheld that won't break the bank, the Classic is easy to recommend. For someone who got into gaming with a Game Boy Color, this is an absolute gem. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to subscribe. If you're interested in picking up the Classic, make sure to check out the link in the description below. And as always, thanks for watching, everyone.